Welcome back, guys. In this video, I'll be talking about a bunch of things which we've added to the version 3 of Smart Examiner. And for a start, I'm going to focus on integration with SmartSkool because I'm thinking that part of this video is also going to be included in the SmartSkool series as well. So as to reduce duplication. So the very first thing we'd want to do is to create an exam. Okay, in the version 3, this is the version 3. We've made some changes compared to the last time which we made this video. And one of the things which we've added is the SmartSkool integration over here. So it's at the exam level, not at the paper level. So it's at the exam level. And there are a number of fields which you need to fill if you want to integrate with SmartSkool. It's not compulsory. So if you do not want to make use of it, you can just leave this blank, and yeah, everything should work normally, as before. But if you want to integrate with SmartSkool, so here is where you specify the subject name, the class name, or the evaluation title. By evaluation title here we mean either the name of the assessment or exam. Okay, so this is if you want to merge all the paper scores. So if you have one paper, this works fine. If you have multiple papers, and each of those paper corresponds to different subjects in the school, you might want to uncheck this, and you'll see all the papers listed here. So if for instance I create a new paper, you can see the paper here already. So you can specify what the subject name is, the class, and then what this exam or test or whatever it is going to map to on the SmartSkool side. So I really don't need this, so I'm going to just delete this. So if we come back here, we can only see, and you can use this works fine in a one paper scenario as well, but for the most part I'm just going to leave it at this to make it very simple. Now, so for those of you that do not know SmartSkool yet, okay, this is a SmartSkool environment. We've been working with SmartSkool for a while now, creating tutorial series. So I'm just going to do a little bit of repetition to show some of the things within the SmartSkool environment so that how it works. So these are the classes, and then these are the students. So in SS1 we'll have two arms. We have A and B. They're students and both arms. And we created subjects. So if I come to manage subjects, you're going to see the subjects which we have for SS1. Okay, so we have a subject named chemistry, and if you come to our yeah, we name this chemistry. But one thing you need to know that you don't have to name the paper name itself exactly the same thing. Okay, because you will need to specify what the subject name is going to look like here. So you can name your paper anything, okay, but the subject name here needs to correspond. Okay, so we want to it just happens to be that ours corresponds, and it's fine. It makes sense if it corresponds, but just letting you know that this is the part that is important over here. So we have the subject chemistry here, and if I come to assessments, okay, or rather if I come to insert student scores for chemistry in this class, I would be able to see some assessments which we have. So we created 3 assessments, and then we have exam. Now if you can only map like writing an exam to one of all these things. Now there is another thing you can do if you, for instance, you want to write like a test and the exam for the same paper together. What you can easily do is to create multiple papers and then map each of those papers over here, and then you specify the same subject name, you specify the same class, and then you can either call one test 1 and then call the other one assignment, call the other one exam. So you can do that if you want to do, okay, but we're going to keep it simple now, and we're going to specify only one. I'm thinking exam. Okay, so if if for instance, you want to map like an assessment, it's best to use the assessment name. Okay, now this is what is showing here is the assessment short name. For the most part, I believe that should work as well, but it's, you're better off using, the assessment name, directly. So if you come to assessments and say manage assessments for like SS1, you're going to see the assessments that have been created for each of the subjects. So if we scroll down to chemistry, for instance, we can see that the assessment title for here is like, this one is called assignment, this one is called test 1 and test 2. So if for instance we wanted to make use of this, I'm going to just come over here. I would put like, something like test 1 here. Okay, but if it is an exam, you just need to write exam and it's gonna be fine, because exam is, is not part of assessments in SmartSkool. So exam is separate, and then assessments are like tests, projects, assignments, practical, and all those other things. So that's basically what you need to do. Now, the class we're working with is SS1. Now, these are not case sensitive, okay, but spaces are recognized. So if you notice there's a space here after SS, because that's exactly the same way we name the class. If you see over here, that's exactly the same way we name the class. So you need to be very careful. I could easily specify this as, exam. It's gonna work. I could specify this as SS1, all lowercase. It's still gonna work. Okay, but I like to keep things exactly the way they are, just to be safe, and it makes it look better. Personally, that's the way I think. So this is basically what you need to specify. Now, the reason why you need to specify the class is that chemistry could exist in another class. Okay, so we want to like restrict the search to a particular class, saying that, so this could be, instead of specifying this title, like I say, Ratel group of school final exams for, I don't know, SS1, to be more specific. So I could call this maybe finals SS1 or finals 2019 SS1, or I could just say SS1 2019, just to maybe be more specific with respect to the class. Okay, so what you would need to do is to obviously export this exam. We currently have 4 questions over here. Now I'm trying to use this for an exam. I would need you to understand something. If you notice, the marks over here, okay, the questions to answer are 4, and the marks are specified as 1 each, which is the default. So the total is gonna be 4. Now the total is 4. Now I know that this is not a complete question set for an exam, okay, but I wanted to also use this to show you something. Now, your point system with your question, it does not necessarily need to match with what you specified as the value of an exam. Now, for those that followed us with SmartSkool, you will notice that we specified that the total value of the assessment is going to be 30 and the exam is going to be 70. So if I come to resulting settings, for instance, and I go to SS1, we're going to see that for the first term the continuous assessment value is 30 and the exam value is going to be 70. Now what the application is going to do, SmartSkool, is going to ask SmartExaminer, sorry, is going to ask SmartSkool for the value of the exam, and then it's going to scale the student score and then the total score to what it's supposed to be. So basically what we're trying to say is that, okay, if for instance, let's say the score is 10 and the total, the exam value, sorry, it's like 10, and then the total score for the questions over here is say 5. Okay, so if I get like 4/5, it means that my final value in SmartSkool is going to be like 8/10. So it's going to scale it. I don't know if you understand what I mean. Now, scaling can also go up, it can also come down depending on, whatever it is. So you can, the whole idea is to give you freedom with creating your question, so you don't need to, like, make it exactly the same score, as you have with SmartSkool. Okay, SmartSkool is it's automatically gonna, scale this course for you. So let us export this. I would say retail group SS1 final exams. You can call it any name you want. So I'm just gonna save this. Now the next thing you want to do is to import it to to SmartExaminer. But if I go on to import this now, it is going to fail. Okay, it's going to fail because I need to specify something. Okay, now with SmartSkool integration, and with the new version 3, we've added a few features. So if you come to preferences, you're going to see an option now to specify the SmartSkool server PC IP address. Now what this is trying to say is that you can have multiple installations of the Ratelsoft application server, and then you could say one is works for SmartExaminer, you could say another one works for SmartSkool, you could have all of them in the same application server. But we had to put this here because we're always trying to be flexible, so that schools, organizations can always use it the way they want. Okay, so what I'm going to do first of all is to auto detect this, and then since I'm all on the same system, I'm just going to specify that this is going to be same as the manager IP, and then this is also going to be same as the application server, which is the Ratelsoft server. So we're trying to say that these two are basically on the same system. Okay, and then we're going to save and apply this. Okay, examining code prefix is required. I'm going to come to miscellaneous settings, and then I'm going to save this as Ratel. So hopefully this should work now. All right, that's all good. All right, now we can go ahead and add the exam, and that worked out just fine. Okay, a few things I will talk about later, and after talking about the SmartSkool integration. But let's just focus on SmartSkool for now, because like I said, I might end up using this video for the SmartSkool series as well. Okay, so what would need to do, because for examinees, as you notice, we have no examinees over here. We would need to map the SmartSkool examinees to the SmartExaminer, because matching is going to be done by the student code. So we need to ensure that the student code which we're specifying in SmartExaminer is the same student code that exists in SmartSkool. And one way you can do this easily is to export all the students. So I could say, if I come to students basic reporting, I know we've not talked about reporting in SmartSkool as at this time of the video now, but definitely we're going to talk about it later. So what I'm going to do is to just specify the basic requirements. Okay, student code is already specified, so student code in SmartSkool is going to map to examinee code in SmartExaminer. So the basic things which we need are just first name, last name, and gender. You can specify any other thing, but yeah, I'm just going to stick with this for now. You can also filter, for instance, you want to filter for only a particular set of students. So you want to say you want to filter for students that are in SS1A. So I don't want to like go down to SS1B, so I'll just say where the student's arm is equal to SS1A, and I could view this report, and I could generate this report. Okay, I just noticed that I'm currently on an older version of the SmartSkool. Okay, the current version which you would probably have is gonna have the one to export to Excel. So I'm gonna do this a little bit manually. Okay, I'm gonna do this a little bit manually right now. I'm sorry for that. The current version of SmartSkool which you're gonna have, it's gonna have a means to export to Excel. So that would like make it very easy. So in order to make this tutorial work, I'm just going to use a simple CSV file. Okay, I'm going to use a simple CSV file, and I'm just going to add the student. So the student's code is going to be RSQ2 PD7, and the name is Irene, and I'm just going to use the first and the last name, or maybe I should just use both of them. So the first last name, Arodovwe. Okay. All right. So this is gonna be the first name. This is the middle name, and then this is the last name. Okay, so I'm just going to save this as a simple CSV file, because I know that it's separated by commas. Each field is separated by commas. So I'm just going to save it to my desktop as sample student. Now I could simply add this because I know, it is very straightforward. I could simply add this directly, into the Smart Examiner Manager, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just going to make use of this. So I'm going to pick the sample student now. And so the separator, I know is comma. Okay. So do I need to add this examinee to a group? I think I'm just going to leave that for now. Okay. Yeah, I don't need to skip the first line because I know it's just one line there, and I know that this is going to be the examinee ID. This is going to be the first name, this is the middle name, and this is the last name. So I'm just going to click on start. Oh dear, I didn't specify gender. Okay, so I need to say, I'm just going to say F. Okay, and resave this. So if I go back and yeah, so if I choose this file again, yeah, I'm just going to go forward and then remark this because gender is required. Okay, so this is middle name, this is last name, and this is gender. So it's successfully added that student, and then we also have the examinee code, here. So this means that it's going to be easy to to do a direct mapping for the student when writing the exam that we want to integrate. For the most part, I'm going to change this passcode because I want it to be something simple. So I'm just going to say hidden, just for me to be able to easily log in. All right. So let me quickly map this. Okay, we changed a few things. Okay, if you notice, in order to create more real estate for the buttons, we added a few things here. So this is now the map new exam button. Okay, so I'm going to say we're mapping to this exam, and we just have one paper. So I'm just going to map that. So now this student can take this exam. Now if you notice, coming on to, if you want to view the score, if I come to this subject chemistry, you would notice that this student already has a score here, which is 63. Okay, this student already has a score, but since we already have a score, because from SmartSkool we already added this, the score is going to be updated if we write the exam. Okay, if this score never existed, you're gonna see it obviously, but since it's it already exists, it's gonna be updated. Now I'm just trying to show you that something has is existing here, and then the score is going to change probably when we write the exam. Okay, and we can easily generate this report. Now we can generate the report for the class. Okay, but we would notice that after we write the exam, we would not be allowed to generate the report because the system is going to check and see that a score was updated, which means that we need to recalculate, the results again. So I'm going to go to my remote computer. Okay, just to be sure, our IP address is okay, ends with 4. So I'll go to my remote computer. It's a Mac computer, so I'm going to change this to 4. Give me a second. So I'm going to change this to 4 and I'm going to launch it. Okay, I'm using another. I'm not using TeamViewer this time around. I don't know. The remote computer app which I'm using does not seem to work, so I'm trying to do it directly from the Mac. Okay, so we know that this is going to be our login ID. So we have RSQ. Now I'm going to show you after I type this 2PD7. Now we know that this is not case sensitive. Okay, this is not case sensitive, so you can type it anyhow you want, and I'm just going to write hidden. Now we'll see the exam which will be mapped to, and then we're just going to take this exam real quick. Okay, I'm not sure about some of all this, so I'm just going to pick. I think I saw one. I can't really remember which it is, and yeah. So let's do this. I'm hoping I get at least 3. I'm supposed to get at least 3. So we can see that report was successfully posted to the server, and the score was 3 out of 4. Okay, so let's come to SmartSkool now and see what has happened. So if we come to insert score for SS1A, okay, chemistry, we can see that for Irene the score has now been changed to 52.5, which is like the equivalent of 75% scaled down to over 70, which the exam is. So that demonstrates the integration. And then you can, if we try to come to print class results for SS1 now, you can see that one student needs their result to be recalculated, including Irene. So basically it notices that a change has happened in the result, and then you just cannot generate the report anymore. And so it means that we need to recalculate this result for I'm just going to choose only SS1 now to calculate the results for, and then we can always, after calculating, we can print the class result. Okay, so it allowed us to print the class result. I'm just going to quickly show this. I'm going to say, let me overwrite this. Okay, and if I come to my desktop, I'm going to bring that in. Give me a second. Where did I save that? I think I saved that to my documents and not desktop. Okay, that's not good. So let me open the, yes. So we can see what we have here, the 52.5, which we had, and it affected the result, and yeah. So that's about it for the integration with SmartSkool. If you map an exam, okay, the SmartExaminer manager asks SmartSkool for the current session and term. Okay, you ask SmartSkool for the current session and term. So when you're writing an exam, if you map an examinee to an exam and then the term has changed, you would not be able to update the result. Okay, what are we trying to say? So you mapped this, this exam, on a first term, for instance, and then for some reason someone is writing the same exam in second term. I don't know why. Okay, the score is not going to be updated. Okay, the score is not going to be updated. That's just one thing we know. So it looks at the current session and the current term and verifies that they are both the same before it tries to modify any score. Okay, it also checks that the students, are mapped to the subject. So what are we trying to talk about? For SmartSkool, we know that you have to map students to subjects. So if I come to Irene now, I can see, that Irene is taking chemistry. So definitely, we can update the score for Irene. So it does a lot of verification before, it does. It does, the result updating. And also during addition to the manager as well, during addition, it verifies the subject name which you specify. It verifies that a subject name exists in this class, and then if you specify an assessment, it also verifies that the assessment has been created. An assessment with that name exists. Okay, so we specified an exam. So if you specify an exam, it will also verify that exam is supported, for that term. So in SmartSkool, if an exam is not supported in the resulting settings, you are just going to specify the value as 0. Okay, so if the exam value is 0, it knows that exam is not supported for that term. Okay, so it does all those verification before it even allows you to add to the manager. But now after adding to the manager, taking the exam is a different ball game. Okay, so if you are taking an exam that is not for the same term, is not also for the same session, it's not going to, update the score. Okay, and if it doesn't find that that student has been mapped, it's also not going to update the score, and then you're not going to get any notification because all this happens behind the scenes. Okay, in order to ensure result integrity and data integrity, it tries as much as possible to restrict to only things that are supposed to be valid processes. Okay.